Today on this episode of The Brain Surgeon's Take, we will be discussing Sneakerhead to the Stars with founder of SRGN Studios and world-renowned bespoke sneaker artist, Dominic the Shoe Surgeon Ciambrone. Learn how this humble, self-taught cobbler managed to turn his obsession for sneakers into a stellar career and is responsible for some of the most genius, in-demand customs of all time. Much more on this podcast episode. Welcome back, everyone. Here's my take on Dominic the Shoe Surgeon Ciambrone. He is a perfect example of taking your passion and turning it into mastery. Dominic started off with a vision to produce the greatest sneakers on the planet, and he did just that, founding SRGN Studios and becoming a world-renowned bespoke sneaker artist. To witness his work is to witness art at the highest level. Dominic deconstructs his shoes, takes them apart, and rebuilds them with premium materials from scratch. His sneakers are legendary, being worn by Will.I.Am, Justin Bieber, LeBron James, DJ Khaled, and Drake, just to name a few. As a sneakerhead myself, this interview rocked. His array of styles and high-profile collaborations are simply mind-boggling. Even more impressive is his drive to inspire others and share his knowledge. He recently launched the Shoe Surgeon Shoe School. Hell, I may even attend. Listen up as we discuss Sneakerhead to the Stars. Check it out. Hey, Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Listen, I'm very excited to talk to you today. It's Brain Surgeon meets Sneaker Surgeon, and I've always been a huge fan of your work. All the custom sneakers you make for the stars and your high-end versions, always been a huge fan of yours. So I'm excited to talk to you today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate all your help. And, it's not the sneaker surgeon anymore. I'm actually the biggest surgeon with no PhD.
All right. I love it. So what do
And
you go by? It's
just
surgeon?
a surgeon. I'm working to get the account from Kat. I believe Kat has the surgeon account. I have the surgeon, but I want surgeon because I'm the first artist since Elton John to collaborate with Bentley, actually on a Bentley. And if people are like, "What do you mean you did the interior?" No, I did the whole fucking car. Like that's what that's what I do. It's not just interior. Like, I started as a kid just being creative, and shoes happened to be that thing for me that like took off. But I'm a surgeon like you in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about, because you mentioned how you got interested in shoes, sneakers, and then it evolved to the next level. Tell us about your background, how you first knew about your talents.
I love the question because it's a little bit different, and I get to be at this place now to understand it differently and to see it differently. Because a lot of people say, "Where did you first get into shoes?" And it's like, well, I was creative, and my talents began way before the shoes. So like when it started, it may not have been so, how do you say, proper. Like, I was in third grade, I was cheating in math, and it was a friend of mine that we started stealing fake money. And, I didn't know what I didn't know. And it was just me. It was like a creative way to like figure out how to get what I wanted. After that, it like just was a creative way to think. But then I was in middle school, I got into just dressing up. Like I wanted to look cool. And I had a group of friends, and in our middle school, you couldn't wear red or blue. There's a lot of gangs there, or yellow. And can you see what he wants? We're working on I'm like a surgeon. Like we're working on a deadline for a boxing outfit this Saturday in New York City. So they're asking me questions. Yeah, you want to go get them? All right, it's one of my nurses.
Come on, brother.
You need a card or something? What do you need?
No, I was just letting you know. Should I go get them?
Oh yeah, please get like a couple.
They only have one size and
Okay, grab it.
Should I just grab the other size too?
Yes.
Bigger?
Yeah.
And small?
Yeah. Thank you. Just call me when you get there.
Yeah.
So just like you, like this is surgery in the sense that like, people want the highest quality stuff, and like we move fast. Like no one could do what we do. And that's where surgeon came from, So as a kid, I was dressing up, and we couldn't wear red or blue or yellow at the time because it was a gang. It was gang colors, and so me and my crew at the time found orange, and orange was our thing, and you could find it cheap in the store, which was great. And I remember being a kid, having some Data Supremes and using an orange Sharpie and sharpening my shoes. And so for me at that age, it was just like, it was fashion, I guess we can call it. It was dressing up to feel a certain way, to feel a part of something. And around that same time, actually a little bit before that, me and a neighborhood friend, his dad was a pinstriper for old fashioned cars. And like looking back at it now, you're like, damn, like I was exposed to so much. My next door neighbor was a contractor, and we were close friends with him. And he would bring me for his builds, and I'd watch him build these houses and cut wood and all of this stuff. And for me, it was like, wow, like I'm so grateful looking back at it now that I was exposed to this stuff, right? Because I saw like, oh yeah, you can build that, you can do that. And even younger, I was always drawing, and just like I feel like most kids and humans start with just drawing, like you don't know. And so then after that, me and my friend, who was my neighborhood friend, who his dad was a pinstriper and painter, we started building 2-story forts in my backyard. We had a 1 acre, which is a good size, and we would build 2-story forts with ourselves, with kids, with hammer and nails and screw gun, and we found wood. My soccer coach found he had extra wood that he would like show us where to get it behind G&G, and we'd cut it and then we'd build it. And we had a 2-story fort, we had an underground fort, and eventually my dad said stop because we never cleaned up, and there was nails and stuff everywhere. But that was like my introduction to being hands-on and making something.
But I would say a lot of people have aspirations to be an artist just like you. And what was your big break? What kind of took you to the next level? Like, was there one event where you really had that rise and you knew that your career was going to ascend?
I get asked that one often, and it's like there's not one thing. And it'd be like asking you, was it school, or was it before school? Was it getting your degree? Was it meeting this person? There's so much there. There's definitely a lot of moments that I've went through that was like an aha moment, but then the next one was even more, and the next one even was more. And it's like thinking about it that way, and thinking about it right now. Fuck, there's so many, but like moving to Los Angeles was one of the scariest things for me. And it was after being in the mental hospital 2 times. So it was the scariest thing because it was out of my comfort zone. It was like, all right, this is it. I was already killing it. I was making shoes for Law and Order SVU. I was making shoes for H. Lorenzo. I made shoes for Will.I.Am, Justin Bieber, yada, 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 yada. I was making money. And I'm not talking about a lot. It was like just enough to get by. But like moving to LA forced me to look at myself to be like, it's all you got. Like, you don't have your parents here anymore. There's no safety. This is all you. And I had my Giselle, who's the mother of my kids, was there as well. She was pregnant, and like, I think even more being pregnant was like, now I got to do this for us even more. It was always me and her, but then it was like us with the baby. Like, scary moment of like,
Yeah.
it was like looking at the mirror. It's like, I got you, without knowing it that way.
Yeah. That sounds like a huge life event, not just career event. And tell us a little bit about what makes your product so special, right? People can come up with ideas for shoes, but why are your products so elite? And how do you come up with these new ideas?
Comes from a place of love, man. Like, you just said something a moment ago of like, sounded like a life event, not a career event. Those are both one and the same for me. They're not two different things. Now they are. I'm learning to maneuver those things, but at that moment, it was all one thing, which was eventually unhealthy and a lot of stuff that I went through again to understand it. But like, that was my world, was to make it. Like, I would have left her if she didn't want me to be a part of my dream, and that wasn't the case. But remind me what you said.
Well, I was trying to say, like, where do your ideas for
Mm.
your new
So
products
it,
come from, right? Because they're
so yeah,
so
I mean,
innovative.
I struggled. I guess we can say struggled. I challenged with perfection my whole entire life. My first pair of shoes that I painted in high school, I painted with model paint from like a Joann's fabric store or Michael's store. I airbrushed a pair. The paint fell off right away. No one fucking knew. I knew. And so once I did that shoe, I was like, oh, I need to create. But I was like, oh, fuck, I can't let it fall apart. And so I then was striving for this drive of perfection, which now I know doesn't exist. And actually, I've come to this realization that I'm perfect. I've struggled with that word perfect for my whole life until 3 years ago. I have no fucking problem with that word anymore. I'm perfect. Some could say I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm fucking perfect. I just get to put the meaning to it differently, right? Like, and I get to teach my children that, which is the fucking one of the best things I could give them. So the superior product did come from me striving for perfection, but I was unhappy. I sold a pair of shoes for 5,000. I used to give shoes away, and then and it was always that, like, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? So it was also me as a human, like, how do I get better, without knowing it that way. And eventually, I came to terms, and like I realized that there's an endless strive for perfection. So there's that, there's the heart, and there's my blood, sweat, and tears. And now it's about the good energy that I put around me. And I have a team of about 50 people, and I have 40,000 square feet in downtown LA. I have a great design director. I have a good energy and young creatives around me. Sometimes it comes from inspiration from traveling. Sometimes it comes with me. And sometimes I don't even have to touch it anymore because I have such a good team that I get to learn from them. And when I got to understand that I'm always a student, and now I get to learn how I want to, like, it's endless possibilities. That's why surgeon is surgeon. And as a kid, I was building stuff and screen printing and sewing t-shirts before even shoes. So people know me for the shoes, of course, because it provided that one wow thing. And now it's anything. It's always been anything. But, like, as you do one thing over and over and over, and you're consistent with it, and then it should become better, right? So yeah, it's all of those things.
The other thing is everyone who's listening or knows you sees the success, but they don't necessarily see all the struggles like anyone else, right?
Yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest career challenge, and have you ever doubted yourself, or was it never a question? Tough one.
The biggest career challenge, again, so career and life was this one in the same for me. And that was something that I came to terms with, to understand, like, I'm the most important thing now, and then everything else comes after. I have always doubted myself since I was a very young kid. It could have came from my parents saying, "Don't do that, don't do this." It could be like me, like, making up, or we're human. We have these mind stories, and it's like how you're raised and how you're taught, and all of these things that you don't know until you know. So I had so much doubt. I always questioned myself. Everyone questioned me, which made me question myself even more. But there is something within that I always listened to, that I stood by, and I'm grateful that I've always been there for myself, and I didn't know that until more recently. And so for the biggest career challenge is again, it goes to me being in the first time in the mental hospital. I got asked to make 20 pairs of shoes for Justin Bieber. I was like, yeah, of course. I was an invincible fucking kid that did steroids and was dabbling in a lot of drugs and didn't understand. And I said, yeah, I could do it. And I was self-induced with stress, thinking, yeah, like, I could do that, which now I could. But at the time, me and, like, maybe a girlfriend at the time helping out, that's just not possible, right? Like, there's not enough time to be able to hit that deadline. But I put that pressure on myself. I didn't know it that way. I jumped out of a window. I was in a manic episode. I jumped out of a window straight through the glass, hit the concrete, and then I ended up in the mental hospital. And they diagnosed me bipolar. Didn't know what the fuck that meant. What they didn't mention was, why were you taking steroids? Like, why were you drinking? Why are you doing coke? Why are you doing these things that are unhealthy? Like, it was just, you're bipolar. And I believe I'm very able and capable, and I believe I'm not average for sure, but I don't believe I'm bipolar, right? Like, I do believe it's a real thing, and I believe there's other ways to medicate. I believe the medicine saved my fucking life to bring me back down. And I just didn't know it that way. But, at that time, they were like, you have to be on this shit the rest of your life. And for me, I'm like, fuck, I feel like a prison. When everyone says I have to do something, I'm like, fuck. So after that, it's just like overcoming self and understanding self. And I came off the meds, and then it wasn't coming off the meds. It was all the other shit that I was doing to myself, right? Like drinking, not sleeping, the drugs, self-medicating, right? And so then I ended up in the hospital again. And after that, I really started searching more out there for myself, how to be healthier. I was like 220 pounds, right? Because of the medication, plus just eating and all of this stuff, right? So me and my girlfriend at the time, we got a dog, and I started walking this dog every day. I lost 5 pounds in the first week. So I'm like, if you can just move and be outside and you feel better, like, and then I searched out like self-help and understanding Chinese herbs and eating healthier and being kinder to myself and self-talk and all of this stuff. And it was like, as a 25-year-old on YouTube, and just like the power of now and all of this stuff. I was just like in college again, and I say again, because I never went to college, but like, I'm just downloading information. Right. And so I've always, even till three years ago, doubt myself. I mean, the doubts, there's still this voice in your head that is there, but it's like, I get to connect with myself, like knowing, what does that mean? Like, I'm not doubting myself because I'm not doing this for anyone other than me now. Right. Of course. I mean, there's things that come with responsibility of where I'm at in this point of my career, but like, I'm good. And I've hit my head on the wall many times, and I've been in the mental hospital. I've been, self-induced stress comes from, parents and how they knew what was right for them. And I'm just grateful that I'm here, humbled many times, been through the ego trip many times, to be humbled, to understand, like, yes, I need to take care of myself, but I'm here also to give to others, and to teach and to give back. Like, that's why I'm here, to be at service to humans, just like you are. Right.
That's great, man. I mean, that story, again, people look at your success and they're like, oh, must have been easy since day one. And what people don't realize is how many hurdles and roadblocks you had to overcome to get to where you are. And I think that's very inspirational. What would you say, what's the single pair of sneakers that you're most proud of? If you could single out one, is it the most expensive pair, or is it something else that made it the most special?
Well, the answer I would normally give, but yours is very specific. It doesn't exist yet. It's the next one. But I have this very special one. It's the first one that came to mind, and it didn't sell it. It was when I was probably right between the Bieber stuff, before the first mental hospital, and between the second one, or after, I don't remember, but somewhere between that time. And I was making shoes for Supra. My friend owned Supra. My friend used to, like, it was just crazy. Bieber wore Supras, and I got connected with the marketing director, who was Joy Claire, who was a good friend of mine. And she sent me the Skytop 4s. They weren't even out yet. I got them before anyone else, which is the shit I love. And they're like, "Oh, were you going to do something with them?" I'm like, yeah. And so I tried something different, because usually I just built ideas to life, right? I never like had it on a piece of paper, like all of this stuff you see now, right? Like, so I tried to go outside the box, and I had time. I don't know if I had like a month. I don't know if I had a couple weeks, but I had time. And so I have like, what are my designs, right? I start writing down ideas, and I had like 2 different colorways. I went to the laser engraver shop, shout out to Eric Nix, and just had like some gray stuff cut. I had some like red stuff cut, because I had like 2 different ideas in my head. And it was like I had it all there, and it was like a day before. It was a day and a half before I didn't have anything done. And I'm sitting there in my garage with the fucking Justin Bieber cutout, like those tall cutout things. And my brother was there, and it was my workshop. There was leather and there was stuff hanging, and I was just like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?" And then you're in your head like, "Oh, why'd you procrastinate?" Da 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 da. And it just didn't click. And no one was paying me for this, right? So there was nothing driving me to get it done other than, yo, you want to deliver this for the launch of this shoe, and not like I had to, I chose to. So it just all clicked. I saw some Pendleton fabric laying down. I saw some veg tan leather, and I was like, holy shit, there it is. It just came to me like a day and a half before. My brother was there helping me, and that's why this is so special, because he was just there to like, he didn't like make anything, but he was there to just be like, yo, you got this. I'm here with you. I see you, you know? And so I had some stuff lasered, and then I started building it to life, and like I just built things to life. And then like I don't even think we slept that night. I got up in the morning, went straight to one of my mentors, is a cobbler, shoe repair shop, and I bring it to him. I'm like, yo, I want to put a boot sole on this and this. Can you do it? He's like, fuck yeah. And we get it done, and then I get on the plane and I go to LA, and it goes straight to the thing, and it's just like, wow.
And it just took off. That's amazing.
So when you ask that question, it plays a very special part in my life. And it didn't make me any money. It didn't bring any attraction other than doing that for myself, you know?
I mean, that's that creative genius, right? You can't put a price on that. When you have an idea like that comes out of nowhere and it turns out to be something